For a really good Mexican omelet, or for any omelet of your cultural choice, you can use any kind of eggs. I usually have the red kind because that's commonplace here. Salt and pepper, a little yellow cheese. I use this Americano, and then I have chorizo, of course. And generally, I use just onion and a little bit of chile marron or pepper. I prefer the yellow, red, or orange, or yellow, or red. And but you can also add a little garlic. And I'm thinking of one other thing you might put in. Oh, potato. I love it with potato. We're not going to do that today. Well, I only use 4 eggs. And so one of these chorizo links is enough. Peel that off. Rusty likes it. And then you can use a fork. Oh, that's what I am told to do. No, I have learned that cutting chorizo is not required. It just sort of sticks and gets all packed in. So use a fork and separate it. These will be this size is good in terms of chunks, but you can also do it in the fry pan. Let me reach over here and get a paper towel. You do need paper towels, and I like to put that into the skillet right away. And while that's going, I'm not very well prepared, but that's the way I do it. You never want to be too prepared. That's not required. So get that cooking. While that's going, I will usually slice up a bunch of onion. If there was a recipe to give you, I don't know what I would say about onion. Come on, onion. That's kind of tough. What's going on here? I like a good bit of onion, but I don't know as it matters really. I have never, you know, somebody once said, can you use too much onion? And the answer that the guy gave was no, you can't. And so I remember that. And so just put in a bunch. That's probably, might be too much, but I don't care. Then, while that's going, stick that together. I don't have my lid. There we go. You need the lid because if you don't, well, it just won't bake as nice. It just cooks a little nicer if you have a lid. Sometimes I take the lid off towards the end to release some moisture. There won't be a lot of moisture with this recipe. It all sort of comes together in the end. Now that in Mexico is called chile marron, or we could just call it pepper. What's next? I think now we just wait. That will take about, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes because I cook it really slow. And one thing you might consider, or at least what I do, while it's cooking down, I like to come back in and chop away at the chorizo because sometimes I don't get it quite broken up enough. Although I think sometimes it sort of separates as it cooks anyway. You decide, see what you think. I don't do a lot of stirring and messing around. I'm kind of a straightforward cook. I put it in, I leave it alone. But you decide. I'm all over the place now. But there you see. Oh, and I've also added a little butter. Chorizo doesn't have a lot of fat. Doesn't cook down like you might expect. And then the onion and pepper doesn't have a lot of moisture either. So adding a little butter kind of makes it a little easier to work with and adds a little taste, but that's optional. You decide. At this point, I take one last check, and it's probably about done. What I look for is that the chorizo is slightly burnt on one side. Watch for that. Don't go too far, but when you see that and it's crumbly, then you're probably about done. That's what I want. At this point, your onion and pepper will probably be a little, still a little crispy, but that's okay. That's what I like. I don't mind. If you decide you don't like it that way, you can always put the veggies in first. Give it a couple of minutes of good fry time so that it's melted down, cooked down. This is the way I like it. Try it. And now comes the fun part. You can decide, considering how much you have in your skillet, whether you want 3 eggs or 4 or even 5. For me, 4 works nice. It gives a good heavy ratio, heavy balance towards the chorizo and less egg. But you decide. These eggs have really hard shells, jeepers. I've noticed a lot of times here in Mexico the eggshells are very soft. Now like this one, it's very thin. Now, because I'm a bit of a neat freak, I don't like to spread the mess. And that's exactly what will happen if you're not careful. So, clean up behind yourself as you go. Now I can take this out. I'll wash it up later. And so now, of course, we have 4 eggs in the pan. I use a plastic spatula, but you could use a fork. Just stir it in gently. It will start to cook on the sides right away. By the way, this is not hot. This is on the lowest possible setting. Oops, sorry. And I have it on this griddle, which lowers the temperature even more. So burning it is a little harder to do, but it can be done. I have mistakenly burned things even with this setup. So that looks pretty well stirred. It's starting to cook. A nice even mix. And that's that. Put the lid on for about a minute. And so now, that's been more like 2 minutes actually, which leaves the bottom kind of done and the top not done. So here I have, the next and final step is to take a little yellow cheese, American cheese, whatever you might prefer. I use this because it's easy to work with and has a good flavor. Cheddar would be good. Parmesan would work. I don't know. Maybe you'd like, what's the other one? Swiss. Now, the flame is still on low, and I'm still on the little griddle here. And I think I'll, by the way, that's 2 slices, and that's kind of enough. I've tried it a variety of ways, otherwise it's too much. Put the lid back on, and I go for like 1 minute or less more, and then I turn off the heat and let it just sit. It will finish cooking without any flame. And now while that is finishing, I like to toss a couple of flour tortillas on the griddle back here. That makes me feel very domestic and like I'm doing something extra. Fact is, it isn't, so don't worry about that. So now we are coming close to being finished. The egg will appear to be a little fluffy on top at this point because it's hot. The cheese will melt back into it and be bubbly. And this is when I go turn on TV. The heat's been off for a while. Just leave it for the next few minutes. It won't matter because it's going to be cooling down. Now don't be too quick to cut into this. It needs a little time to set up and cool down. And I use this time to add salt and pepper. A lot of salt. This salt comes out with difficulty. It's kind of a coarse sea salt. And my pepper is just the other way around. It's super fine. It's like powder. I need better pepper. Okay, so now that is done. Just wait. Wait a couple minutes. Now this next part is not hard, but normally you would do this with both hands. I'm having to hold the camera with one, and I just put one there. That's it. I don't do anything fancy, and then I roll it up. Just roll it up backwards like this, and make some little taco, if you will, a little, I don't know, is that a taco? You might want 2 tortillas. I don't. Usually is enough. Don't overcook your tortillas because they will become a little too firm or even crispy, and then you can't roll them up. And that's it. Thank you, Gordon. That was really fun. Thanks for all your help.